Hello, I'm going to describe the app creation using Android Studio that I made. I just made a quick little tic-tac-toe game, but just using Android Studio in general is a little bit complicated, so I'm going to go over some of the nuances with it. So first of all, everything that I looked up said that you have to use this app compat library, and it took me a long time to figure out that I was supposed to come here and put this specific app compat. I tried a bunch of different values for it, but only this one was actually working for me. So there's a little cool thing right here where if you don't have the optimized version, you can just come down here and click and it'll get you the newest version. If it's highlighted, you just know that you can get a different version for that. These don't really matter, it runs fine without it, but just a little heads up. So first of all, there's an activity main XML file. So this file uses XML for coding. It's the programming language. And what it does is it just has several different parts of the layout. So here's a text view, and this initial text view just is this right here. Yeah, so I selected it and it tells you what part you've selected, and it's just this display whose turn it is. And then down here, linear layout, this is the game board. And then this is a column or a row in the game board, and then each row has different buttons. And between the buttons, you have a view which is just this black line right here, which is drawing the board. So I'll go over a little cool thing that you can do with Android Studio. So you can click on the layout that you want, or let's do the display. And if you want to change where it's at on the screen, you can move it around and it'll just adjust it for you, right? And you can do that with anything. You can do it with the buttons or just anything. You can come over here to the layout and adjust where you want it. So that's a cool little thing in Android Studio. And so over here, let's see. We have something called style, and the button is of style column. So let's see what that is. So I created a styles XML file, and the column style has a bunch of different parts to it. So the weight of 1, which means that everything has a similar size, that they're all the same size. And then width of 0, that's because we're using weight, and then height of match parent. So that'll just be the same height as what it's inside of. And you can change the color, the background, text size, text style. And then when you click on this button, it runs a function called board tapped. And I'm going to go over all the different functions that I made after this, and the orientation is either horizontal or vertical. Okay, and then you have a style row that I made. So the row style just has a weight, width, and a height. And then there's a vertical line, which is the same thing, basically, except, oh no, vertical line and horizontal line are the same thing, except they've swapped the weight and the height. So one of them goes up and down, the other one goes left to right. And yeah, so that's the layout and the design for the game. So it displays whose turn it is, and then you have the board, and there's 9 buttons here. When you click on it, it does something, and I'm going to go over the logic behind all of that. So this is just, here's some of the libraries that I've been using. Shared preferences was very helpful for completing the saving data. So when most games, you want to save data in between playing it. You don't just want to restart every single time. Technically with tic-tac-toe, that doesn't really matter, but I implemented it as just a way to show that I could. So for save data, you make shared preferences, right? You set it up, and then you just do editor.apply, and then you put values into it. So I put 2 integers, here's the key, and here's the value. So the key, this is a specific name where if you want to load from this, you have to put that specific key in there as well. So down here in load data, I put that same key, and then this is a default value. So if there's nothing to load from, it'll put a 0, but if there is data to load from, then it'll put whatever's in there and then store into these values. And X score and O score are what I use to display what the score is to the user. So I created them up top as kind of a global variable. It's inside of a class, but I use it. This is the only class that I have. So in order to display the score, I have a results function. And so this is at the end of a game. It updates the score and then it saves that into your data to load up when you start the app. And then it displays the message O score and then X score. And all right, so then just a little bit more of the logic behind it. So on create, so when your page comes up, you want to set the bindings to the buttons. So I have 9 buttons and it sets all the bindings of them when I use init board. So check for victory, this is the logic. You can have a horizontal win or a vertical win condition, diagonal win condition. So every time you press a button, it checks to see if you've won, and then if you've won, it sends result, or it calls result, and then that updates the score and it saves the new data. When the game's over, you reset the board, which means you just set all the buttons text to blank. If there's a full board, meaning nobody won, then it's a cats game, and you return true, and that'll reset the board for you, and it doesn't actually update the scores because nobody's won. Whenever you press a button, you call the add to board function, and it places so you pass the button that you pressed in, and it sets that button's text to either an X or an O. And then set turn label. So this will just change the turns. Once you press a button, it changes. If it's X, it changes to O. If it's O, it changes it to X. And I'm just going to do a quick example for you guys. I'll stop this share real quick. So I downloaded it onto my phone. So my Android phone has this app, and it's kind of backwards to you guys, but you can just tap on the buttons, right? And so if it was difficult for you guys to see how it was working on my phone, I opened up the emulator on the Studio, which is a cool thing that it has. It emulates a cell phone for the use of the app. So there's the saved data. X is already won 10 times, O has won 3 times. That's just because I've been testing this and playing around with it. If O gets another win, then it'll add that to the number of wins that O has. And then if you reset the application, then it should still save that data. O should still have 4 wins, and X should still have 10 wins. Or X is going to bump up to 11 wins here. All right, X has 4, or X has 11 and O has 4. So yeah, there's a demonstration of my project. Thanks for watching.